Okay. Thank you guys for coming to the next webinar in the timer webinar series. Today we're going to be going through the RM division file. I do encourage you guys, this is going to be one of the more practical exercises where we're in the software. It's not presentation style. If you have questions as we're walking through things, just raise your hand and I'll call you out, and then unmute yourself and then ask your question and then remute yourself and I will answer it. And then we will move on to the next thing. So without any delay, let's go ahead and get started. So I've got RM open here. I do have a clean setup. So I ran the setup assistant and cleared everything out. I don't have anything in my database. Don't have anything in age groups or division file, nothing. This will look a little bit different than what you guys are operating on right now, because you guys are still operating on version 8 while I've been testing version 9 for the past 6 months. We're soon going to be rolling out version 9 to everybody, but so some stuff on here there'll be some buttons and things like that you don't see on yours, but the overall setup is going to be the same and the terminology and everything's going to be the same. So we're going to jump right into the actual division file. So what is the division file? The division file is what drives your overall or you're setting up the division, the race events for the participants. It could just be something as simple as just 5K, as some events will be this weekend, or it could be like a cross-country meet where there's 20 plus divisions. The divisions are what we use to categorize the participants. Generally, we use that for like distance and type of race. So think 5K, 10K, Olympic distance, duathlon, that kind of thing. You could also use it to indicate any potential award categories as well. So, for example, there at triathlons, Clydesdales and Athenas, that would be a division. A lot of the On Your Mark events, they do a Guardians division for first responders, so that would be a division. One of the key one of the key things with a division is a bib number can only be assigned to a single division. You can't have multiple divisions assigned to a single bib number. So that's why in instances where somebody would be, let's say there's a 5K, 10K, and the 10K starts 30 minutes after the 5K, and this race wants to allow people to register for both the 5K and the 10K. There's a couple of different ways to do that. The easiest way for us is for them to have 2 different bib numbers, a 5K bib and a 10K bib, and they change them out. There's some other things to do that, but that's going to be beyond the scope of this webinar. So we're going to go ahead and jump in and start going through some of these things. So this is the clean install. There's no divisions or anything set up. So I'm just going to go through this top line of creating one division. First, we'll include the division name. So for most events, we'll just do a standard 5K. It does auto capitalize, so no need to use shift or anything in here. It just capitalizes everything. So as you type in. So we're going to name it 5K. Putting in the distance, what this does is this allows pace calculation. So this is what will take the total time divided by the distance to get the pace. So you put the distance, the unit, and then the unit or however you want it displayed, minutes per mile, miles per hour, meters per minute. Start time, we don't usually use this, but what you can do here is set a default start time. And what this does, this doesn't actually gun start for everybody, but what this does is this allows you to have like a clock set up. So you can have clock 1 set up to be like kind of a countdown to the 5K start for your own reference. We don't really use this all that much, but it is something you can use. You can also actually capture gun start times from right here too as well, but it doesn't assign them to a division, so it doesn't assign it to the participants, so it doesn't really do anything for us, so we don't use that. Max laps, that would be used on a laps event. We use this, we're going to use it this weekend at Harvest Marathon Relay. It'll be set up with the max laps. I think it's 116 laps, Ryan, if I remember right, something like that.
106.
Yeah, 106. So it'll be set up with 106 laps. What that means is it'll count up until you hit that lap. So it'll count. Yeah, it'll count up until you hit that lap. If you leave this at 0 and you're in laps mode, it'll just continue going until it stops, until you get no more laps. There is no upper limit. So that'll rank people by number of laps complete. And what this does, it does this on results. And laps results only works on race roster for us. We can't do laps races on run sign up right now. Stages, we don't do stage races, but those are an option. To enable this, you'd have to click this little toggle right here. These are days. So think Tour de France. So if this was a race where we were doing multiple day event, we would have, up to 7 days where we can capture different stages of the race and combine the scores total across all of the events and provide each individual stage results as well. The reason that's different than laps is because stages go off of the date. So if you notice in the database, whenever you get a time, there's a time and a date there. So it uses both those. The laps all occur on the same day. Stages would be on across multiple days. Results columns, we're pretty familiar with these at this point. So this is where you would choose your style that you want for the columns that are displayed. You can create or edit these by clicking the division tools function right here and going to result column visibility. It'll pop up this window. If you want to make a new one, let's say the default chip had just a little too much information for this particular event because they don't have age groups or age group winners, you can go uncheck those, create a new name, save it as new, and then it'll be available in the dropdown. Now that won't be added to our default list, but we'll worry about that. We have a whole nother thing on results column visibility, so we'll talk deeper about that. So that's the first row. Down here, next row are a few toggles that we have available. Show division online. So you can actually, if you have divisions in the race that you don't want to show immediately. The only time we really use this is some cross-country meets. The coach doesn't want the team results to be posted live. So I'll go ahead and have all the team results listed. So all the calculations, everything will be done. We'll just toggle off the show online. And then whenever they're ready for to do the team awards, we'll go into the division file and click all these to show online and save. Hide splits and laps online. We don't really use this. We drive this via the result column visibility file, so we don't really use this anymore. Use cumulative. I have never used this. I would think this would be something for a stage race or something like that, but I've never used the use cumulative toggle. We already talked about the stage race. We don't have any of those, so we don't use that. Enable custom team scoring. This is how we do the cross-country teams, and I'll show you that. I'll show you another example of that as we're creating these divisions. Map to reg. So this is a run sign up specific feature. When you're posting results to run sign up, you'll click here and it'll be a list of all the divisions in run sign up, and you'll check which event in run sign up you want to map this result event to. So this would be useful for we used this at Cooley Costume Run this past weekend because they had a division name of Cooley Costume Run 5K Superhero Run was the name of the division. So we just changed it to 5K. So that's why, but even if we don't change the name, we still have to map the division when we're on run sign up. That's generally done in your online storage, but something just to double check. Splits and segments. We're going to come back to this in just a minute. Configure teams. This is a special button that only highlights when you enable team scoring. We will go over that when we do teams. Overall and custom groups. This is where you can set up your overall awards winners, your masters winners, anything that's done by age, you would set up here, or any overall award where anybody in the category can win it. It's kind of confusing and why this and age groups is separate. We're going to go into the age group file more or next week, but the division file and age group file work together to kind of define, you know, how placements are done and everything. So think of this as just overall awards, anything that has multiple levels of age groups available. So for example, we would go, and this does not automatically do caps lock, so it will do lowercase as well. So if we did overall top 1 for the entire race, this is what we generally do. We will always start at 1 from now on, because we now know run sign up can't do 0. You have masters, so like go here, top 1, masters is usually 40 to 99. This remove from age groups button will, anybody that wins this division will be removed from age groups. And I think that's why this is here and not in the age group function as well. So we can also do grandmasters, you know, 150 to 99, you know, juniors, whatever. This can be, you know, if you have juniors 1 to 18, you know, how this can be whatever you want. This is kind of where you would group up age groups though. So if you had overall type winners, this little button right here is how you get rid of them. There is no clear all, unfortunately. Once you get input here, you can then copy them to other genders and also copy them to other divisions. One caveat on copying to other divisions, you will need to save the division file before they'll be visible here. I'll show you an example of that as we start creating more of these. Another note on setting this part of it up: in run sign up, unless they're actually giving non-binary awards at an event, you'll want to clear the neutral awards from the listing, because it'll populate them on run sign up as being available. Down here, I've never gotten this to work, include division name with custom age group, so I just ignore that. Sort overalls by gun time, that's 99% of the races that we do. The only ones that really would not be that case would be if the race director specifically tells us that overalls can be chip time. An example was at Sugarland Half. Aaron wanted anybody in the age group division. He was giving an overall award to the age group division winner and wanted them to be sorted by chip time. So that box wasn't checked for that particular division. The age group top display, this is the total number of age groups, winners you'll have in each age group that you're going to put in the age group file. These two things are new to version 9 down here. Top history alert account, and this is actually really cool, is you can say, so let's say you want to be notified when your first overall winner for the 10K and a 5K 10K comes through. You can set the notification to alert you when the first person, and set the background color for them when they pop up on your screen. So you'll say, oh, there's our first 10K winner, male, female, whatever, you know, however you have it set up. So kind of cool in version 9. I haven't played around with it much yet, but it's an option that's there, and we'll get more to that when we get into version 9. Yes, David.
Explain age group display top again. I didn't quite catch what that means.
This is basically, the race will say, I will ask the race, how many winners are you going to be awarding in your age groups? You know, the 14 and under, 15 to 19, 20 to 24, you know, however they do it. How many people are you awarding? If they say 1, you'll put 1 here. If they say top 3, you'll put 3 here.
Okay, that's frequently 3, isn't it?
Yes, most events it would be 3. I don't know why it defaults to 5. I think that's a Michigan thing.
Okay.
So yeah, for most races that'll be 3. For any negative split event, that will always be 3. Close that. So we got this one set up. So I'm going to go ahead and create this division so we can see what's going on, or see what the next one is. Now, let's say this is, you know, they have varsity boys. We're doing it. Let's say they have a team award for the 5K. So what I'll do is I'll just create a team 5K. It doesn't need a distance because it's for team. When I do enable team scoring, we can open the configure teams menu. So what we do here is we select, we can combine. If we have multiple divisions, we can check them and combine them if we want scoring. So for example, at the kids triathlon this year, we're going to be doing team scoring across both days. So we're going to have short course Saturday, short course Sunday with this combined. So that way it'll combine the team results. So what we would do for, let's say, for example, a cross country meet, 5K, male, use gun time for scoring, and score is cross country. And then for the female division, you'll do it again for the female division and so forth. So this is where you would select your divisions. These are your gender options. You can multi-select, so you can select all of them if you want. If you do select all of them, you'll want to click combine genders for scoring, because this will make it so all males, females, at the time the gender doesn't matter, basically, is what it means. Use gun time for scoring, meaning it'll only use the gun time to score the participant. If you don't have this selected, it'll look for a chip time, and if it doesn't have a chip time, they won't be scored. So that's one of the that's why we always have to check that for cross country meets. When you're combining genders, you can also set a minimum number of males, females, or non-binary that are required for the team to be scored. Show team members on shirts. I've never actually used this, so I don't know what that does. It does show the team members when you click the button, so I'm not exactly sure. Maybe I'll test that out and play around with it at Cardia whenever we redo that. Or no, I'll test out at the Texas Cross Country Middle School Championship. This is where you say the top teams. Most cross country meets don't want to use the awards tab. They just want to use the team page. So I don't really worry about this. But you could, set how many teams are going to win an award. You can use, filter by subdivision here. And then, like I said, down here is the cross country scoring, which is where you set up how many people are scored and then how many displacers are scored. That's if you have tie scores or anything like that, that'll use these displacers as the next times to score. We've never used the tiebreaker function or the score all finishers function. So we probably will never use either of those, but those two, I think tiebreaker would only be in use if you had 0 displacers, and score all finishers would just score every single person on the team. So basically the team that's the biggest would end up winning. So that's teams. When you do select teams here, enable teams, it goes to default team in the result columns, and you can make no adjustments. That's just what it is, so it stays right there. Moving down, you can actually load a division file. So if we had, let's say, if you looked in the online storage and downloaded a file from last year, you could load just that division file if you wanted to. I very rarely do that because I'll just load directly from online storage. Reset. Oh, okay. It just does that. I wonder what's the difference between them. Never done that before, so that's new for me. So reset clears everything. Clear also clears everything. So, okay, 2 ways to do the same thing if you want. What's up, Brian?
I would guess that reset would take it back to the last save place.
Possibly, yeah. Yeah, I could see that. But anyways, never used either of those buttons, so I always just clear. You can also move them up and down via the arrows over here. Print and report settings, we don't use that either, but this is where you would actually set up to generate your different reports and whatnot. We don't print reports, so we don't use that. Delete all from provider. This would only be applicable to run sign up in race roster, so you can delete all the divisions off of there and re-upload them if you need to. Upload from provider. This button will only be highlighted if you have race roster selected as your results provider and your event selected, because you upload your divisions here. And run sign up, you upload your divisions in age groups. So we'll cover that next week. pull from provider is if you're logged into a race has registration on either race roster or run sign up, and you're logged in and connected to that event before doing this setup, you can just pull the divisions from the provider and it'll pull the exact names and all the details and everything from the provider right there. So yeah, actually we ended up being a little faster than I thought. I thought there'd be more questions as we were going through. I didn't hit on the timing points. This is a new feature that's in version 9. You won't see this on your laptops right now. I have not used this yet. From what I understand, this is going to be kind of a game changer for us at triathlons, where we can actually name our timing points and set minimum splits and the time, time in, time out that we're allowed to get reads, things like that. So we can actually manage the readers from this screen versus or manage the times versus having to filter out and do other filters and things like that as we're importing data. But this, I don't know a lot about this yet because I haven't used it and it just got released. So we'll talk about that more whenever I'll probably I'll probably do a specific like 15-minute thing just on this once I get a handle on that. So yeah, so that's all there is to divisions. I mean, it drives a lot of things you do during the race. There's a few areas where you just kind of need to be careful with, especially when you're uploading and deleting from providers and whatnot. But otherwise, it's pretty straightforward once you know what everything is. It looks a little bit intimidating when you see a lot of stuff on there, but it's pretty, like I said, pretty straightforward whenever it's all, whenever you kind of understand what everything's here for. Yeah, does anybody have any more questions? Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording so I can go ahead and get that processing and get it uploaded.